Hey everyone out there. This is the spoiler review for Shazam. If you want to see my basic thoughts on the movie, I posted a video right before this. It should have that. But just got out, just gave a little bit on it. Now I want to talk about the spoilers of the movie. Some of these are real minor spoilers. Some of them are pretty major. One thing that consistently bothered me throughout the movie was Frankie's dress, which, don't get me wrong, if there's a universe where superheroes exist, I'm sure superhero paraphernalia would still exist. But his Aquaman shirt had like the random symbol, which I don't think anyone in that universe would be like, oh my gosh, that's Aquaman's symbol. And his Wonder Woman shirt, which he was wearing near the end of the movie, had the God Killer on it, which hasn't existed since 1912. Like, it's like, oh, DC's just throwing their own shit in there, pretty much, is what I got out of it. They're like, oh, we have this character who had this sword, let's put it on a t-shirt. Does it make sense that it exists in a shirt on 2019? No, but let's put it in there anyway. Billy meeting his mom was a genuinely sad moment for me. But it was earned in the movie too. You see how hard in the beginning he's been trying to meet his mom and, making all these mistakes. Family helps him find his mom. He confronts her, and she seems to be in an abusive relationship, which I thought the movie was going to come back to that and, have Shazam actually do something about it. Because, even, the place that she lived just seemed like it was full of a bunch of people that were just abusive to each other. But no, it's just kind of, you get that one scene where he meets his mom. There's no other mention of his mom for the rest of the movie. At that point, he finally starts accepting the other family as his family. Big part at the end I absolutely hated was the family, the Shazam family. Not because it's not accurate to the comic books, but because in this movie we have such little development for everyone outside of Frankie. And Michelle or Megan, whatever the older girl's name is, she gets a little development, but no one else is, and suddenly they're just given superpowers, and you're like, Billy, the Wizard Shazam gave it to you out of desperation, and I know you kind of gave it to your family for that reason too, but you might have just given some superpowers to some sociopathic people eventually. These characters have no development, and Billy barely interacts with any of them outside of Frankie. So that was kind of a stick in my craw about the end of it. The Mark Strong's character was fine, serviceable, really kind of forgettable. The parts that I laughed at in this movie, only two parts, was the part where the Wizard Shazam was saying, grab my stick and say my name. For a kid's movie, that was obviously an adult joke, and that was real dirty. And then the ending part, when they're in the cafeteria and Superman shows up and Frankie just loses it, and I was just like, that is so hilarious and yet so fitting. But how did Shazam get to know Superman like that so well? I know that we're not getting Henry Cavill's Superman anymore because he's dropped the project, but I don't know. It was cool, but at the cost of kind of the suspension of disbelief in this movie. Let's see. The seven deadly sins were just generic, let's have minions for the bad guy, but they're evidently his source of power. So they were not given any form of character development except for they are evil, which, don't get me wrong, if you're the sins, that's probably all you really need to be. Let's see. The parents were super forgiving, but that kind of made sense. A lot of this movie, you have to assume that Shazam's watching the movie with you. Some of the things he says and the things he does, when he takes the eyeball from Thaddeus and he's like, oh yeah, it's just going to go right here, and he puts it in the place where it was, despite the fact that since he's entered the Rock of Eternity, that was never there. He should never have known that was there. There's always that great trope of the supervillain sees something on TV and it's immediately relevant to what he's doing with the superhero. It's how he finds Frankie. It's kind of stupid. This movie had some campy parts, and there was a scene where they're near the end when Shazam and Thaddeus are flying, and Thaddeus starts giving his speech, and they're really far away, and Shazam can't hear it. I thought it was entertaining. I didn't think it was funny. I thought it was realistic. But then he just, like, they play it off as a joke, but it really wasn't that funny for me. It was just weird. And, you know, the CG for this movie was about on par with DC. It's really kind of crappy CG. You'd think that a company worth so much money would be able to spend enough on them to make it serviceable, but the 7 deadly sins just look like discount gremlins. I believe I gave it a 6 out of 10. I'm talking at my brain and I'm talking it down, but I'm going to keep it at a 6 for right now until I watch it again. The acting was fine. Again, like I said in my first review, there's a couple cringy moments in this movie. One, I was literally covering my eyes because I was just like, they're belittling Frankie in a way that I wasn't comfortable with it, because it was a generic trope. It was the scene when, you know, he's expecting Shazam to show up at his lunch, and everyone's just surrounding him and they're making fun of him after it, and I'm just like, look, he and Billy's relationship, he really was taking advantage of it, and he even admits that he was taking advantage of it because he really wishes he'd gotten the power. And then he gets the power at the end, and he's just so weird. Like, not Frankie, but the people playing the Shazam characters, like the Shazam family, none of them had any development. One of them was he literally just doesn't really talk much. And he said more words in his transformed state than he said as himself through the entire movie. Darcy or Darby, the little girl, the actress that played her pretty well when she played the adult version of her, but there still was barely any character development. So I didn't like any of the adult versions of any of the kids outside of Billy. You know, the Darby's one was fine, but I didn't like her. She was just the best of the bunch. The college thing with the oldest girl, where she's like, I don't know, you know, I got accepted to this college at Cal State or whatever it was, and I don't want to go because I don't want to leave my family. I'm like, that's a legitimate thing. I understand that. Like, she's lived in this foster family for a while, but that doesn't get resolved. You don't know if she's leaving or if she's going. She has these superpowers now. Like, if she leaves for California, she could do a lot of good there too, but at the same time, she'd be leaving the family behind that gave her these powers. Well, hopefully Pops will see this and give me his thoughts on it. I'd be surprised if he didn't end up seeing it. But it was serviceable. I would rank it in the top 4 DCEU movies, maybe top 3. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Wonder Woman. BVS's Ultimate Edition, the one that sort of makes sense, I enjoyed a bit better, but it was good. It was fine. I would recommend seeing it to get your own opinion on it. With that, though, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a good day.